So in this session I will cover hydroelectric power plant. Hydroelectric power plant. So hydro means water. So by using what? By using water, how to produce the electricity? So by using the water, we can produce electricity, and where the electricity is producing, such a power plant is called hydroelectric power plant. So I will discuss, first of all, I will discuss the working principle and then classification of hydroelectric power plants, and then now I will explain in depth of classification. First of all, let us discuss this is a view of the schematical view of the hydroelectric power plant. Hydroelectric power plant. This is a reservoir. So reservoir is the place where the water is stored, and through the sludge gates, water will be released slowly, and by using the kinetic energy of the water, So this is potential energy of the water. So potential energy of the water, and also it is having certain height, and this is a water is stored certain height, and if you release the, this is the surface level. If we release the water from certain height, due to the potential energy, the water will be released through the pipes, and that by using the turbine, here turbine will be there, and by using the turbine will rotate when the water releases, and it is mechanically coupled to the this is generator, and the electricity will be produced. This is the basic uh, information regarding to the hydroelectric power plant, and later I will explain the working principle, and again this is the working principle of the transformer. So working principle is hydroelectric power, nothing but hydropower system converts kinetic energy of flowing water into electric energy. Simply, we can say that it will convert kinetic energy of water into electric energy. Simply, kinetic energy of water will be converted into electrical energy directly. So this is the basic principle. So simply, this hydroelectric power plant convert kinetic energy of the water into electric energy, and this kinetic energy will be gained by storing the water at certain height. That is nothing but potential energy of the water. Next, this is falling of the water, falling or flowing of the water turns a propeller, or like a piece is called a turbine. Nothing but that flow of water which will turns the propeller like a piece, that is called a turbine. So we can call that whatever the turbine, we can also call as propeller. And turbine is turns. So when the water releases from certain height through the pipes, and the turbine will rotates, and that is mechanically coupled to the alternator, and that mechanical metal shaft, that is mechanical metal shaft is connected to the electric generator, and electric generator works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Whenever conductor cuts the flux, or flux cuts the conductor, and EMF will be induced across that conductor. So this is the working principle of the uh, hydroelectric power plant. So next topic is what are the requirements? What are the requirements to construct or build a hydroelectric power plants? Required are factors for selection of the site for hydroelectric power plant. So this is common for uh, thermal power plant. Nothing but for thermal power plant also, we need to consider these requirements, and also nuclear power plant also we need to have some constraints. Nothing but we need to have some conditions to say place the hydroelectric power plant, and nuclear power plant, and thermal power plants. I already discussed the thermal power plant site selection requirements factors. So now hydroelectric power plant. So the first factor is availability of water. So basic need is hydroelectric power plant. So hydro is nothing but water. So basic thing is water requirement, water availability. So water availability, where the water availability is more, nothing but where the large area is required, the large area is available to store the water. So you need to select the availability of the water. Next one is water storage. Water storage. For example, if you construct a dam, and this much of area, so huge area is required. Nothing but this much of water storage area is required uh, to produce electricity. This is a water storage capacity must be high. So nothing but based on the water storage, we need to consider the water storage factor also, and availability of water, water head, availability of water head. So availability water head is nothing but height. So nothing but the physical length of the ground level and height of the hilly stations. Nothing but we never construct this idle power plant at a flat surface. So if the water is flowing in this surface, we never construct the power plant in this location. We need to consider construct the power plant when the place is required in this way. So if you construct the hydro power plant here the storage water is available. If you release the water to the ground due to the high potential energy, uh, water will be released to the ground with high potential energy. So that we need to select this is water head. Water head is nothing but difference between ground level and water storage level. And the accessibility of site, nothing but for example, if you construct a hydro power plant here, and if Hyderabad is here, so from this Hyderabad to hydro power plant, definitely there must be access, nothing but uh, availability of the transport and transportation of electricity. So these are all called as the access to the site. And the next one is distance from the load centers. For example, this is Srisailam hydro power plant, and here Vanaparthi is available here, Vanaparthi. So Vanaparthi to and Srisailam approximately 150 kilometers is there, and Srisailam to Adilabad approximately that is 400 kilometers are there. So that this is from Srisailam to nearby Vanaparthi, Nagar Karnool, like that villages are there. So that if you construct the aerial power plant at Srisailam, nearby loads are available. Nearby Hyderabad is available. In the Hyderabad, uh, power grid also available. This is also 180 kilometers. So that 180 kilometers distance is from the hydroelectric power plant. So that up to if you construct this hydro power plant more than 150, 200, 300 kilometers, it's more power will be lost through the copper losses, and it's very difficult to transfer the electricity, and its cost became huge because of construction of poles and the transfer of electricity. So everything is costly. That's why we need to select the site in such a way that power plant must be nearer to the load centers. That distance must be as minimum as possible. And the next one is a type of land site. So this is also another important. In some places volcanic eruptions, in some places earthquakes may takes place. So in such land areas we never consider construct these hydroelectric power plants. So these are the constraints we need to take while constructing the hydroelectric power plant. Next one, hydrograph. So hydrograph is nothing but simply this is the graph drawn between discharge of the water with respect to time. So nothing but discharge in y-axis discharge, and x-axis is time. Nothing but in if you take 1 year, for example, like this is y-axis discharge, and this is time. This is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, like that. December will be there. So June, July, August. So generally water flow, nothing but water flow through the rivers will be more, nothing but maximum during this June, July, August, September period. So you can see here in this in this graph, look at this one. So this is June. When June, during June, rain starts as southeast monsoons will takes place, southwest monsoons will be takes place, and the June starts rains, and the July also rains increasing, and so that look at this one, discharge also increasing, x-axis and y-axis, look at this one. And August also more rainfall, and September also rainfall increases, and then rainfall will be decreases, but discharge through the rivers, rainfall will be increases from June to September, and so that discharge of water through the rivers, Krishna river and Godavari river in our state, and Krishna and Tungabhadra rivers, both will join at Gadwal, and the flow of water through the rivers will be increases during the uh, June, July, August, September, and then rainfall will be nothing but rains will be decreases after September, and so that we need to store the water again by using storage of water. We need to release the water in a gradual manner to produce the electricity, so that discharge nothing but water will be decreases, discharge will be decreases, and gradually discharge will be decreases again, decreases up to summer, nothing but May, up to May. So nothing but how much water discharging through the river, or how much water is discharging through the thermal hydel power plants. So the discharge versus time. Time may be 24 hours. Nothing but you can take this x-axis as 1 day or 24 hours or 1 month or 30 days. Nothing but monthly. Nothing but a daily discharge curve or monthly discharge curve or yearly nothing but per month. So nothing but it shows the variation of water flow within it, with the time, with respect to time, and it may be plotted based on the data of nothing but daily or weekly or monthly and yearly. So based on this one, we need to draw this curve. So with this discharge curve, what are the advantages? With this discharge hydrograph, what are the advantages? Importance. What are the importance? And look at this. So you can, in the examination you should draw this curve in the examination. Nothing but you should draw this is the curve you need to draw. This is nothing but a high discharge during the rainy season, and a low discharge during the summer season. Median discharge during October, November, December areas. So let us discuss the importance of hydro graph. First one is hydrographs gives discharge available at a different time, or daily, monthly, or yearly. Nothing but it give different times. Nothing but how much discharge is at particular day or particular month at particular year. Like that we can decide by using. So by using this graph, you can see at the peak discharges takes place at some time. Nothing but uh, for example, if you take month September, so this is September month, peak discharge will be takes. So and low discharge at a particular month. So nothing but we can decide, and at what month, at what day, and at what time the discharge is maximum. And based on the discharge, we need to select the uh, generation of the plant units. Nothing but and during high discharge time, we need to generate more electricity. Nothing but that can be obtained with this graph. So that is the first important point. Next one is the maximum and minimum runoff can be also be studied. I will explain runoff what. Nothing but maximum runoff, nothing but maximum flow of water. So that can be studied with this graph. And the next one is it helps in studying the effects of storage on flow. So storage on flow, nothing but how much water will storage water will be discharges maximum. That can be studied with this graph. And also the area under the graph gives a total volume of the water for a given duration. So nothing but the fourth point is the area under the graph gives total volume of the water for a given duration. Nothing but in a given duration of time, how much total volume of the water, nothing but for 1 month, total how much volume of the water is discharged. Total volume can be identified by using this graph. Next, another topic is classification of hydropower plants. So this is I will classify this one based on the load, that is nothing but peak load or base load. So there are two types of loads are there. One is base load, another one is peak load. So one is base load and another one is peak load. So what is base load and peak load? We need to discuss regarding to that. Base load is nothing but look at this one. This is a graph. You can see this is a graph. This is base load. You can see here base. So look at this one. This is nothing but in the form of rectangular. Nothing but this is constant load. And a peak load, nothing but look at this one. This is varying. Base load, nothing but this is load versus time. Load versus time. Nothing but the base load is nothing but this is the load. This is the load which will be constant irrespective of the time. So base load is the load which maintain constant irrespective of the time. Such a loads are called base loads. Nothing but uh, for example, if any load industry, if you take an industry, some industries work for 24 hours. Some industries works for 24 hours. Nothing but that industries loads are called base loads. Peak loads. What are the peak loads? Peak loads are nothing but generally we can simply call as big shopping malls, and our homes and offices, government offices, whatever colleges. So colleges, for example, look at this one. How peak loads will be takes place. How the peak loads will be. For example, let us take our home and college. Let us take the relationship home and college. For example, during morning you will come to the college, and at night time college loads will be shut down, and during the night time nothing but our home appliances will be turned on. Nothing but during the night time street lights will be turned on, and our home appliances will be turned on. Nothing but for a lighting purpose we need to turn on lights. Nothing but we need to turn on our lights at our home, and so that during night time, so for example this is during the night time load will be during the night time load will be. So the loads which vary with respect to time, such a loads are called peak loads. Nothing but the power which is supplied to the peak loads, the power plant which supply energy to the peak loads, such a power plants are called peak load power plants. So in this, and also the power plants which supply energy to the base loads, such a power plants are called base load power plants. Mostly base load under for base load, thermal power plant, nuclear power plants will comes under the base load power plants, and in the hydel power plants during summer season, hydel power plant act as a peak load. And during rainy season, hydel power plant act as a base load. Base load nothing but which produces electricity constantly. So during the summer season, we need to produce electricity based on requirement only. When availability of the water is less, then in such a case we need to use the water for peak loads only, and for the base load we should not use the hydro power plant, and we should use the base thermal power plant and nuclear power plant for base load during the unavailability of the water. Next, classification of idle power plants based on storage. Nothing but how much water is stored to produce the electricity. Nothing but that's based on storage. The hydropower plants classified as, first one is runoff water. Runoff river power plants. So first one. Next one is runoff river with pondage power plants, and third one is storage power plants, and the fourth one is pumped storage power plants. So I will explain these things later by showing the pictures so that you can understand better. Simply, I will explain. I will differentiate between all these. And runoff river, nothing but there is no storage, no storage water, no storage water. Runoff river with a pondage. Pondage, nothing but small storage, small storage, small storage of water is there, and by using the storage we can produce electricity. This there is no storage, nothing but during the, for example, river is flowing in this way, at middle we should place a generator, nothing but hydroelectric generator, and we should generate the electricity, nothing but during the flow of water only this power plant will generate the electricity. Such a power plant is called a runoff river power plant, nothing but during the flow of water in the river, then only that will produce electricity without storage of any water. And runoff river, nothing but across the river a small pondage will be there, small storage water place where that is called pondage, and by using that one we can produce electricity. And this is another one, is third one is most important one, storage power plants. It's nothing but you can take Srisailam, Nagarjuna Sagar in Telangana, and uh, Hirakud Bakranangal project, Hirakud's Bakranangal, and Therai, which is the highest dam. Hirakud is the longest dam, which is placed in Orissa. Therai dam, which is in placed in Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand. So those are the big power plants, storage power plants, and pumped storage power plants. So Nagarjuna Sagar, Nagarjuna Sagar in Telangana, which is example for pumped storage power plant, and also in Srisailam, left bank Srisailam power plant also having the capacity of pumped storage power plant. What is pumped storage means? For example, this is a dam, and this is the water storage is available, and we need to release the water through the penstocks, and electricity will be produced, and again water will be sent back to the reservoir. Going to send the, after producing electricity, water will be sent back to the reservoir, and again electricity will be stored, nothing but reverse storage, nothing but the reverse pumped storage power plant. Pumped storage power plant are reverse pumping system, we can call as, that system is called reverse pumping system. If you reduce the energy, if you discharge this water through the pipes, we can, if you you can produce for example, you can 1 kilowatt power, and if you send that water back to the uh, storage, we can utilize 0.75 kilowatts. If difference between these two is 0.25 kilowatt energy, I think what 25 kilowatt energy we can produce by reusing the water. Such a power plant is called pumped storage power plants. Pumped storage power plants. Next classification is based on the head. Head is nothing but simply we can call that as height. We can call that as height of the height of the power plant. Out of height of the hydel power plant. So different types will be there. One is a low head. Low head is nothing but low head simply, and medium head and high head, and also very high head power plant. So example for I head is Terai, Terai Dam, which is placed in across the river in Uttarakhand, and the medium head is nothing but Srisailam, Nagarjuna Sagar, and the high head is Srisailam. Srisailam. In Nagarjuna Sagar, more gates are available, and in Srisailam, less gates are available. So low head is nothing but less than the Srisailam, whatever the dams which are less than the Srisailam, that is called a low head power plants. So this is a classification based on the head, and you can see the different types of power plants based on head. And you can see here, this is low head. Low head directly water flows, and this is small barrage. So uh, low head we can call as low head dams, we can call as barrage. We can say that Prakasham barrage like that, and high head power plants, medium head, high head you can call as dam. You can say this dam, and here directly water will be released to the turbine, and here separate pipe will be there that is called penstock. So water will be released from reservoir to turbine. Such a pipe is called penstock. So you can see here this is penstock, and this is another one high head power plants, and also height is very high. And look at this one, this is the discharge of the water through the penstock here, and here time turbine. And another one is placed here, here it is called as a surge tank. Surge tank placed at this high head power plants, and I will in depth I will explain later. Just I will differentiating the power plants based on height. Next, classification of hydropower plants based on capacity. So capacity is nothing but the production of electricity. Based on that capacity, what are the classification? Micro capacity hydropower plants, and mini capacity, and small capacity, and medium capacity, high capacity, and super hydro power plants. So these are the classification. Nothing but this capacity is nothing but how many kilowatts, it is generating. For example, if you take Srisailam and Nagarsagar, 110 kilowatts, 110 megawatts, 110 megawatts for each power plant. Like that, 7 units will be there, 7 into 110 megawatts. So based on this capacity, that the hydropower plant are classified